We had ourselves a whole bunch of news yesterday, and a lot of it wasn't covered here on the channel, mostly because I wanted to wait for the stories to settle in, for everybody to kind of get their fair share of information about what was going on, and as a result, I would try to feed off of the parts of the stories that I don't think people have explored about too much. Today we're talking about the newest hirees for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And yes, it is their replacement search for GM Jim Rutherford, or former GM Jim Rutherford, that was concluded yesterday when the team hired Ron Hextall as the general manager and Brian Burke as the president of hockey operations. Now, this is kind of bittersweet for me because I loved watching Brian Burke on TV, and now he's not going to be there anymore because, of course, it doesn't really seem possible to balance the two acts, the TV broadcasting personality as well as the hockey ops president guy for a hockey team. So even though it does pain my heart to say that Brian Burke is not going to be on the TV anymore, it is a very good opportunity for him to go over there, act as the president of hockey operations for the Penguins, and actually go over and try to help this team win. And I say win because that was actually one of the more intricate and hammered upon points during the hiring process for Hextall and Brian Burke. Yesterday on Tim and Sid ended up asking Brian Burke what was the mandate that the owners Burkle and Mario Lemieux gave you and Ron Hextall for the hirings. And Brian Burke answered, "The Penguins want another parade." Now, you know what that means. They want to win another Stanley Cup. They want to go out there, make Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang champions once again. Hopefully this time off of the backs of Tristan Jarry instead of Matt Murray, instead of Marc-Andre Fleury, the third goalie to come out here in the rotation and win another Stanley Cup. That is what Lemieux wants, and that is what Brian Burke and Ron Hextall were given as a task before they were set out to being hired. We also had the comment here, what Brian Burke said about being hired, posted onto Twitter. "To me, Pittsburgh is a take-your-breath-away destination for any GM or president of hockey operations. I'm so excited for the opportunity. The Penguins are a storied franchise with outstanding ownership in Mario Lemieux and Ron Burkle, and Pittsburgh is just a great hockey city." Obviously, great comments. You love to see that, especially if you are a fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins. However, after Brian Burke was appointed as the president of hockey ops, a few quotes that he made in the past really did start to resurface, and not because any of these comments are wrong per se, but because they indicate a little bit of a different flavor as to what Brian Burke has been indicating towards when he got hired and when he was facing the media, at least, TV, Tim and Sid, as well as the tweet that was posted here on Twitter by the Penguins Twitter account. This is what Brian Burke said on a podcast interview back in November. "It's the same thing Jim Rutherford is saying in Pittsburgh. I've got two elite players, we're not going to a total rebuild, and we're gonna try and win." Burke says, "I don't think Pittsburgh is good enough to win. No matter what they do now with their cap situation, I think that window has closed for me. I love Jimmy Rutherford, you know that. But I look in the East and I say, are they better than Tampa? Nope. Are they better than Washington? Nope. Are they better than Boston? Nope." Brian Burke said this on record 4 months ago. And the thing is, a lot of Penguins fans I saw, at least on Reddit, for example, looked at this and they saw the comments and they were like, oh, this is what our now president of hockey ops said in a podcast back in November. And the majority of comments over here are saying pretty much the same thing, that he's kind of right. On paper, do you think the Penguins are better than the Capitals, the Lightning, the Boston Bruins? I mean, who am I to tell you that your opinion is wrong, but I personally don't really think so. And it's really funny seeing how he kind of acknowledges, even back in the past, that the prospect of this team winning one more time, in his opinion, was completely done, no matter what they do with their cap situation. So now that Brian Burke, after coming on to the Penguins and agreeing to the job, Ron Hextall also doing the same thing as the general manager, with the mandate given to them by Mario Lemieux that they want to win another Stanley Cup. What do you think happens now? That's kind of where this commentary goes from here, because we're 4 minutes in, there's no real answers yet. Brian Burke and Ron Hextall haven't done anything, there's no trades being made, whatever. But what happens now? If you want to go full rebuild, that's probably not going to happen. This is what Rob Rossi said on Twitter. For those wondering, I'm told the Penguins ownership received endorsement of Brian Burke and Ron Hextall's plan from camps for Sidney Crosby and Malkin, which was significant, given Mario Lemieux remaining adamant that number 87 and 71 are going to be franchise lifers. So pretty much that's kind of convoluted the way that it's written out here. It's because Twitter has a character limit, I'm pretty sure. But Mario Lemieux, the entire time, he's like, yeah, I don't want Crosby or Malkin to get traded. You're not getting rid of these guys. And in order for us to hire you, Burke and Ron Hextall, you're gonna have to give us a plan as to what you want to do with these players. And it appears that they wouldn't be in a position to trade up any of these guys anytime soon, especially given the circumstances wherein Mario Lemieux, the guy on top, is like, yeah, don't do that. The fact that we even saw these guys get hired after that apparent meeting and the plan being discussed means that there's an agreement of terms here. So now, with this established, where do the Penguins go from here? Obviously, I'm talking about Brian Burke and comments that he made. It's not Brian Burke who's the general manager. He's the president of hockey operations. He does the stuff on top of the general manager, and he does a lot of the advising and all that. But for Ron Hextall and Brian Burke to come on here assigned as a tandem, we will see how exactly their plan comes to fruition, because Brian Burke has already made it very public how he believes the Penguins are in a position to not win no matter what they do with their cap situation here from here on out. So let me know in the comments what you thought about this idea. I know it's a weird topic, right? Like, this is kind of why I said I wanted to wait for this to settle down before I gave any opinions. Obviously, we know the impact that Brian Burke has had as a general manager before. West Coast Express, Sedin, setting up the foundation for what was a very, very strong decade of Vancouver Canucks hockey. He came over in Toronto. Kessel was pretty good for Toronto, but he never had a number one center to play alongside of, which kind of darned the team. Reimer and Bernier, when they were great, but they were so inconsistent, it was not funny. Then you also had the Calgary Flames, where, Brian Burke had his own tenure with the Calgary Flames, and I think we all kind of remember how that went. As for Ron Hextall, though, hey, Philly's in pretty good hands. On paper, they should be in good hands, right? I don't know what's going on with Philly. Why the heck can't they win any more games? But Hextall did have his long tenure with the Philadelphia Flyers. They had some pretty good drafts, I'll say. I like Provorov and Konechny in 2015. Carter Hart in the second round in 2016. Oof, that's a great pick right there. Then, of course, the next year you had Nolan Patrick, you had Morgan Frost. These guys have a lot more to give at the NHL level, I would think. But for Ron Hextall, he's coming over here after spending some time with the Philadelphia organization as well as the Los Angeles Kings. Remember, he was over there for a short amount of time? Yeah. But now we have ourselves new management in Pittsburgh. It's going to be really weird to see how it goes, especially knowing how Brian Burke was framing this team just 4 months ago. So let me know in the comments what you think about this topic. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do you think it was valid to make a video about this? It's totally something that's out of left field because I'm kind of digging up the past right here. It just kind of popped up on Reddit and I was like, oh, that kind of feels like a video. But do you think this was an appropriate topic to talk about how Brian Burke, the new president of hockey ops, was very public in the past about how he believes this team has nowhere to go but down into the future? Let me know in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. Trolls 99 and bye.